The moon had no name. It was just a gray rock floating in the darkness of space, far from any star that mattered. Had been coming to places like this for 7 years. He was a salvager, a man who searched for broken ships and took what he could sell. It was not a good life, but it was his life. His small ship landed on the dusty surface with a soft thump. Through his window he could see the wreck. It was big, much bigger than anything he usually found. The ship had crashed hard. Its metal body was torn open like paper. Fire marks covered its surface, and one of its wings was completely gone. Put on his helmet and stepped outside. The moon had no air, so he had to wear his suit. His boots made no sound as he walked toward the wreck. The silence was complete. He had learned to love silence. In silence, there were no problems, no debts, no people asking him for money he did not have. He reached the ship and looked at the symbols on its side. He did not recognize them. This was not a human ship. It was alien. His heart beat faster. Alien ships were rare. Alien technology sold for a lot of money. Maybe his luck was finally changing. He found a hole in the side of the ship and climbed inside. His flashlight cut through the darkness. The air inside was gone, escaped through the many holes in the metal. Everything was frozen. He walked carefully, his eyes searching for anything valuable. The first room he found was empty. The second room had strange machines that he did not understand. He took pictures with his helmet camera. He would study them later. The third room made him stop. There was a body on the floor. It was alien, tall and thin, with scales that were dark blue in color. The creature was clearly dead. Its eyes were open but saw nothing. Had seen death before. He felt sad, but he did not look away. Death was part of life in space. He was about to leave when he heard something. It was soft, almost too soft to hear, a sound like crying. He turned his head, trying to find where it came from. The sound came again. It was coming from behind a metal door. Walked to the door. It was stuck, but he was strong. He pulled hard, and the door opened with a loud noise. Behind it was a small room, and in that room he found them. 3 small creatures sat in the corner. They were the same species as the dead alien, but tiny. Children, bobbies maybe. Their scales were lighter, more gray than blue. They had big eyes that looked at him with pure terror. One of them was making the crying sound. Did not move. He did not want to scare them more. He slowly raised his hands to show he meant no harm. The little ones pressed closer together. They were shaking. He looked around the room. There were empty food containers on the floor, a water tank that was now frozen solid. These children had been here for days, maybe longer, waiting for help that never came. The dead alien outside was probably their caretaker. Maybe a parent, maybe not. It did not matter now. Made a decision. He could not leave them here. He was not a good man. He had done bad things in his life. He had stolen, he had lied, he had run from his problems. But he was not the kind of man who could leave children to die alone in the dark. He spoke softly, even though they could not understand him. His voice was calm and gentle. He had learned that tone could say more than words. Slowly, very slowly, he moved closer. The little ones watched him with their big eyes. They did not run. They were too weak to run. The smallest one reached out a tiny hand toward him, felt something break inside his chest. He did not know what it was. Maybe it was the wall he had built around his heart over all these years. He picked up the first child. It was light, so light it scared him. He could feel its ribs through its scales. He held it against his chest, inside his suit where it was warm. The creature stopped shaking. It pressed its face against him and made a soft sound, almost like a cat. One by one, he gathered them. 3 small lives that depended on him now. He did not know what species they were. He did not know what they ate or drank. He did not know if they would live through the night. But he would try. He would try everything. He carried them back to his ship. It was not easy. His suit was not made for carrying 3 alien children, but he managed. He always managed. That was what humans did. They found a way. Inside his ship, he turned on the heat. He checked the air to make sure it was safe for them. When he took off his helmet, the children looked at his face for the first time. They saw his brown eyes, his black hair, his skin that was so different from their scales. They did not scream. They did not try to run. The smallest one reached up and touched his face with its tiny fingers. Its touch was cold but gentle. Smiled, it was strange. He had not smiled in a long time. He searched his food supplies. He had dried meat, some vegetables in cans, water, and protein bars. He did not know what alien children could eat. He started with water. He held a cup to the first child's mouth. It drank slowly at first, then faster. It was so thirsty. The other two watched. They wanted water too. He gave them all they wanted. Then he tried small pieces of food. The children ate carefully. Some things they liked, some things they pushed away. He made notes in his head. He would figure this out. Night came, though night and day meant nothing on this moon. Sat in his pilot chair with the three children sleeping on his lap. They had curled up together, their small bodies pressed against his warmth. He watched them breathe. Their chests rose and fell in a steady pattern. They were alive. He did not know what tomorrow would bring. He did not know where to take them or who to call for help. But right now, in this moment, three small creatures were safe because of him. And that was enough. He closed his eyes but did not sleep. He stayed awake, guarding them through the long, dark hours. Outside, the dead moon waited in silence. And somewhere in the vast universe, someone was searching for these children. But did not know that yet. Woke to a sound he did not recognize. It was a low beeping from his ship's warning system. His eyes opened fast. The three children were still on his lap, sleeping deeply. He looked at the screen on his control panel and felt his blood turn cold. Something was outside, many somethings. He carefully moved the children to a soft blanket on the floor. They made small sounds but did not wake. He walked to the window and looked out at the gray surface of the moon. Creatures moved in the darkness. They were big, bigger than dogs, but shaped wrong. They had too many legs and their bodies were long like snakes. Their skin looked wet and black. He counted 5 of them, then 10. Then he stopped counting. Scavengers. He had heard stories about them. They lived on dead moons and asteroid fields, feeding on anything they could find. They could smell blood from miles away. They could smell life even further. The children, they could smell the children. Moved quickly, he checked his weapons. He had one laser gun half charged. He had a metal pipe that he used for breaking locks. He had a knife. It was not much. It was not nearly enough. The first creature reached his ship and began to scratch at the metal walls. The sound was terrible, like nails on glass. The children woke up. They heard the sound and began to cry. Their fear was so strong they could almost taste it in the air. He went to them and spoke in his calm voice. He did not know if they understood, but they understood his tone. He was not afraid. He would protect them. That was what his voice said. He moved them to the back of the ship, to a small storage room with thick walls. He put them inside and closed the door. They looked at him with their big eyes. The smallest one reached for him, not wanting him to go. He touched its hand gently. Then he closed the door and walked back to the front of the ship. The creatures were everywhere now. They covered the ship like a living blanket. Their scratching filled the air. The walls were strong, but nothing was strong forever. Saw a weak point. A window on the left side had a small crack. The creatures saw it too. They gathered there, pushing and scratching. The crack grew bigger. The glass began to break. He raised his laser gun and waited. The window shattered. A creature pushed its head inside, fired. The laser cut through the creature's skull and it fell back with a terrible scream. Another one took its place immediately. He fired again, and again. His gun grew hot in his hands. More creatures poured through the broken window, dropped his empty gun and picked up his metal pipe. He swung it hard. Bones broke, bodies fell, but more kept coming. He fought like he had never fought before. His arms grew tired. His hands bled. But he did not stop. He could not stop. Behind him, 3 children waited in the dark, trusting him to keep them safe. A creature bit his leg. Pain shot through his body like fire. He screamed and brought the pipe down on its head. It let go and fell dead. But the wound was deep. Blood ran down his leg and dripped on the floor. The smell of his blood made the creatures crazy. They attacked harder, faster, backed up toward the storage room door. He would not let them reach the children. He would die first. Time became strange. Minutes felt like hours. He stopped thinking and just moved. Hit, dodge, hit again. His body worked without his mind. It remembered how to survive. Then suddenly, the attack stopped. The creatures pulled back. They gathered outside the broken window, watching him with their many eyes. They were not leaving. They were waiting. They knew he was wounded. They knew he was tired. They could be patient. Fell to his knees. His body shook with pain and exhaustion. Blood covered his clothes. Some of it was his, most of it was not. He looked at the dead creatures around him. He had killed at least 20, but there were more outside, many more. He crawled to the storage room and opened the door. The children rushed to him immediately. They made worried sounds when they saw his wounds. The smallest one touched his bleeding leg with its tiny hands. Its face was full of concern. Laughed weakly. Here he was, bleeding and broken, and these small aliens were worried about him. It was strange. It was beautiful. He had to move. He could not stay here. The creatures would attack again when they got hungry enough. He needed to seal the broken window. He needed to stop his bleeding. He needed to think. First, the window. He found metal sheets in his storage and welded them over the hole. It was not perfect, but it would hold for now. The creatures outside scratched at it but could not get through. Next, his wounds. He found his medical kit and cleaned the bite on his leg. The pain made him cry out, but he did not stop. He wrapped bandages tight around the wound. It was not good enough. He needed real medical help, but real medical help was far away. Finally, food. The children had not eaten since morning. He prepared what he had left. It was not much. Water, some dried fruit, a few pieces of meat. The children ate quickly, their fear making them hungry. After they ate, they came to him. They did not go to the blanket on the floor. They came to him and pressed their small bodies against his. They wanted to be close to him. They wanted to feel safe. Held them, he was so tired that his eyes kept closing, but he forced them open. He had to stay awake. The creatures were still outside. They were still waiting. The night stretched on forever. Every few hours, the creatures would test the walls. They would scratch and push and look for weakness, would grab his knife and wait by the sealed window, but each time they pulled back again. His leg hurt more and more. He looked at the wound and saw that it was red and swollen. Infection. He did not have the right medicine. He did not have anything that would help. He thought about calling for help. His ship had a radio that could reach distant stations, but this moon was in empty space. No one would come in time. No one even knew he was here. The smallest child climbed into his lap. It looked at him with its big eyes and made a soft sound. A sound like a question. Did not know what it was asking. Maybe it was asking if they would be okay. He smiled at the child. His smile said yes. His smile lied. The truth was he did not know if they would survive. His wound was getting worse. His food was running out. The creatures outside were patient and hungry. Everything was against them. But he would fight. He would fight until his last breath, because that was what humans did. They did not give up. They did not surrender. They found a way, or they died trying. Morning came, though it looked the same as night. The creatures had retreated from the ship, hiding in the shadows of nearby rocks. They were still there, still watching, still waiting. Checked his supplies one more time. He had food for 2 more days, maybe 3 if he did not eat. His water would last a little longer. His weapon was empty and his body was broken. He needed a miracle. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, a miracle was coming. A giant ship with weapons of fire was crossing the stars, following a signal that only a mother could hear. But did not know that yet. He only knew that the sun was rising on a dead moon, and 3 small children were sleeping in his arms, trusting him completely. He would not fail them. He could not fail them. The sky changed without warning. One moment it was empty and black. The next moment it was full of fire. Saw it through his window. A ship was coming down through the atmosphere so big it blocked out the stars. It was not like any ship he had ever seen. It was shaped like a blade, sharp and dangerous. Its surface was covered in patterns that glowed with blue light. Weapons pointed from every angle. This was not a trading ship. This was not a rescue ship. This was a warship. The creatures outside saw it too. They ran. They scattered across the moon's surface like water running from fire. In seconds they were gone, hiding in caves and cracks, far from the light of the descending ship. Felt 2 things at once: relief that the creatures were gone, fear of what was coming. The warship landed a short distance from his small vessel. The ground shook when it touched down. Dust flew everywhere, covering his windows. Then everything went quiet. Held the children close. They were awake now, watching the dust settle outside. The smallest one made a sound. It was not a scared sound. It was excited, happy. A door opened on the side of the giant ship. Light poured out, bright and golden. A figure stepped through the light and walked towards ship. It was tall, so tall that had to look up to see its face. It was the same species as the children, covered in dark scales that shone like black glass. But where the children were small and soft, this creature was strong and sharp. Its eyes burned with an inner fire. Its claws were long and looked deadly. It was female. Did not know how he knew this, but he knew. Something about the way it moved, the way it held itself. This was a mother. She stopped in front of his ship and looked at it with her burning eyes. Then she spoke. Her voice was loud enough to pass through the metal walls. The language was strange, full of clicks and deep sounds. Did not understand a word. But the children did. They began to cry out, making sounds that had not heard before. They pushed against his arms, trying to reach the door. Their voices were filled with joy. This was their mother. She had come for them. Stood up slowly. His wounded leg screamed with pain, but he forced himself to walk. He carried the children to the door of his ship. His hand shook as he reached for the release button. He did not know what would happen next. He did not know if the alien would thank him or kill him. Humans were not respected among the stars. They were considered young, weak, unimportant. A mother finding her children with a human might not react well. But he could not keep the children from their mother. That would be wrong. He pressed the button. The door opened with a soft hiss. The alien mother stood before him. Up close, she was even more impressive. Her scales caught the light and threw it back in rainbow colors. Her eyes looked down at him, studying his face, his wounds, his torn clothes. She was measuring him, judging him. The children broke free from his arms. They ran to their mother, crying and making their happy sounds. She bent down and gathered them against her chest. Her hard face changed. Softness appeared in her eyes. Love, pure and powerful love. Watched, he felt tired suddenly, so very tired. His mission was done. The children were safe. He could rest now. His legs gave out. He fell to the ground, landing hard on his knees. The world spun around him. His wound had taken too much. He had lost too much blood. The alien mother looked at him. Her children were safe in her arms, but her eyes stayed on the human who had brought them out. She said something in her language. It sounded like a question. Tried to speak. He wanted to explain what had happened. He wanted to tell her about the crash, about the dead caretaker, about the long nights fighting the creatures. But his mouth would not work. Darkness crept into the edges of his vision. He fell forward, his face hitting the cold ground of the moon. When he woke, he was not on the moon anymore. He opened his eyes slowly. Above him was a ceiling made of dark metal. Patterns of light moved across its surface like living things. He was lying on something soft, softer than any bed he had ever known. He tried to sit up, but his body did not obey. He was too weak, so he lay there looking around with just his eyes. The room was large and beautiful. The walls curved like the inside of a shell. Everything was decorated with those same glowing patterns. There were no hard corners, no sharp edges. It felt safe. It felt like a home. He heard movement to his right. He turned his head and saw her. The alien mother sat beside his bed on a chair that looked like it was grown from crystal. Her children were with her, sleeping in a pile on her lap. She was watching him with her burning eyes. Tried to speak. His throat was dry and his voice came out as a rough sound. She moved immediately. She took a container from a small table and held it to his lips. Water, cool and clean, he drank gratefully. After he finished, she set the container down. Then she spoke. Her voice was different now, softer. She was not speaking her own language, she was speaking his. The words came slowly with a strange accent, but he understood them. "You saved my children." It was not a question, it was a statement, nodded weakly. "Why?" The question surprised him. He did not know how to answer. Why had he saved them? Because they were children, because they were scared and alone, because leaving them would have been wrong. "They needed help," he finally said. His voice was still rough. "I could help." She looked at him for a long moment. Her eyes were impossible to read. Then she spoke again. "You are human." "Yes." "Humans are considered weak by many species, young, unimportant." Did not argue. He knew this was true. Humanity had only been among the stars for a few hundred years. Other species had been there for thousands. To them, humans were children playing in a world they did not understand. "But you fought," she continued. "Alone, wounded, against many enemies. You did not run, you did not surrender, you protected my children with your body." She leaned closer. Her face was now only inches from his. "I have watched the recording from your ship. I have seen what you did. You killed more than 30 of those creatures. You gave your food to my children and ate nothing yourself. You stayed awake through many nights, guarding them." Said nothing. He had done what anyone would do, what anyone should do. But she shook her head, as if she could read his thoughts. "No," she said. "Not anyone, not many. Most would have left them. Most would have seen alien children and felt nothing. You felt something. You acted. You risked your life for lives that were not your own." She sat back in her chair. Her children stirred on her lap, making soft sleeping sounds. She touched their heads gently. "I am," she said. "I am the matriarch of my clan. My family is old and powerful. We have ruled our world for many generations." Listened. He did not know what this meant or why she was telling him. "You have given me a gift," said, "a gift that cannot be repaid. In my culture, such a debt is not taken lightly." Her eyes burned brighter. A small smile appeared on her face. It was not a gentle smile. It was a smile that promised something, something big. "You saved my children, human. Now you belong to me." Blinked. He was not sure he had heard correctly. "What?" "You heard me," said. "You are mine now, my clans, my families. You will not go back to your small ship and your lonely life. You will stay with us." She stood up, her children still cradled in her arms. She looked down at him with those burning eyes. "Rest now. When you are strong, we will talk more. There is much you need to learn about your new life." She walked away, leaving him alone in the beautiful room. Stared at the ceiling. He had saved 3 children on a dead moon, and somehow he had become the property of an alien queen. His life had just gotten very complicated. Days passed on the warship, grew stronger. The alien doctors had strange medicines that worked faster than anything humans had made. His leg healed. His strength returned, but his mind was troubled. He did not understand what was happening. Had said he belonged to her now, but what did that mean? Was he a prisoner, a servant, something else entirely. No one explained anything to him. He was kept in the beautiful room. Food came to him 3 times each day, brought by alien servants who bowed their heads but did not speak. The food was strange but good. Some dishes tasted like meat, others like fruit, some like nothing he had ever known. He ate everything. He needed his strength. On the 5th day came to him. She did not come alone. Behind her walked 4 other aliens, 2 male and 2 female. They were all tall and covered in dark scales, but their patterns were different from us. They looked at with cold eyes. They did not look friendly. "Get up," said, "you will come with us." Stood, he was still wearing his old clothes, now cleaned and repaired. They felt strange on his body, too rough, too simple. Everything on this ship was smooth and fine. They walked through long hallways. The ship was even bigger than had thought. They passed many rooms, many doors, many windows that showed the stars outside. Other aliens watched them pass. Some looked curious. Most looked confused. Finally, they reached a large chamber. It was round, with high walls covered in glowing patterns. In the center was a raised platform. On the platform were chairs arranged in a circle. This was a meeting place, a place for important decisions. The 4 aliens who had come with took their seats, pointed to a spot in the center of the circle. "Stand there," she said. Walked to the spot and stood still. He felt like he was on trial. Maybe he was. One of the male aliens spoke first. His voice was deep and angry. "This is foolish. He is human. You cannot bring him into the clan." "I can do what I choose," replied. Her voice was calm but hard. "I am the matriarch." "The clan will not accept it," one of the females said. "Humans are not our equal. They are young and weak. They understand nothing about our ways." "This human saved my children," said. "That is not weak, that is strong." "He did what any creature would do," the deep-voiced male argued. "Protect young. It is instinct, it means nothing." His eyes flashed with anger. She stood up from her chair and walked toward the male. She was shorter than him, but somehow she seemed bigger, more dangerous. "You were not there," she said. "You did not see what I saw in the recording. Let me tell you what this human did." She turned to face all of them, her back too. When his ship's window broke, most creatures would have run to the back, hidden, protected themselves. This human did not run. He stood at the opening and fought, alone, with a simple metal bar. She held up one finger. He was bitten in his leg. The wound was deep and painful. Most creatures would have fallen, given up. This human did not fall. He kept fighting. He killed more than 30 of those creatures with his broken body. She held up a second finger. When the creatures finally retreated, most would have focused on themselves, healed their own wounds first, rested. This human did not rest. He went straight to my children. He checked if they were hurt. He fed them before he even looked at his own blood. She held up a third finger. He stayed awake all night, every night, watching, guarding. His wound grew infected. His body weakened, but he did not sleep. He did not let his guard down for a single moment. She turned back to the deep-voiced male. "Tell me," she said, her voice like ice. "Could you do what he did? Could anyone here do what he did?" Silence filled the chamber. The aliens looked at each other. No one answered. "Walk too." She stood beside him and faced the others. "Our people believe in strength," she said. "We believe in honor. We believe in protecting what is ours." This human showed all of these things. He showed them without training, without weapons, without hope of reward. She put her hand on shoulder. Her touch was warm through his clothes. "He is not weak. He is strong in ways we have forgotten, and I will not turn my back on someone who saved my children." The 4 aliens whispered to each other. The female who had spoken before raised her head. "Even if we accept what you say, he cannot join the clan. He is not of our blood. The old laws do not allow it." Smiled. It was not a kind smile. "The old laws have a path for this. The path of the bond. When someone saves a life of great importance, they can be bound to the family they saved. The bond makes them clan, even without blood. That law has not been used in 1,000 years, the deep-voiced male said. Then it is time to use it again. More whispers, more looks, stood still, watching it all. He did not fully understand what was happening, but he understood that his fate was being decided. Finally, the 4 aliens fell silent. The deep-voiced male spoke for them all. We cannot stop you. You are the matriarch. If you choose to use the old law, that is your right. But know this, many will not accept him. Many will challenge him. His life among us will not be easy. His life has never been easy, said. He will survive. He has proven that. She turned too. Her burning eyes looked into his. The council accepts you, she said. But now I must ask you, do you accept us? Looked at her, he thought about his old life, his small ship, his empty days, his loneliness that stretched like the void between stars. He had nothing out there, no family, no home, no purpose. Here he had saved 3 children. Here he had found people who valued what he did. Here he might find something he had lost long ago. Yes, he said, I accept. Nodded, her smile changed, became warmer. Then it is done. From this day forward you are bound to my clan. You will live with us, learn our ways, become one of us. She stepped closer and spoke more quietly, so only he could hear. My children ask about you every day. They call you the warm one because you kept them warm when they were cold and scared. They want to see you. Something moved in his chest, that same feeling he had when the smallest child first touched his face. I want to see them too, he said. His eyes softened. For a moment she did not look like a powerful matriarch. She looked like a mother, grateful and caring. Come, she said, let us go home. She led him out of the chamber. The 4 council members watched them go. Some of their faces were still hard, but some, noticed, showed something different, something like respect. He had a long road ahead. He would have to learn a new language, new customs, new ways of living. People would doubt him, challenge him, test him. But he was not afraid. He had faced monsters in the dark with nothing but a metal bar. He had stared death in the face and refused to blink. He was human. And that, he was beginning to understand, meant something after all. 3 months passed, learned to live among the stars in ways he never imagined. The warship had taken them to. It was a planet of dark oceans and silver mountains. The cities rose high into purple skies, their towers connected by bridges of light. Everything was beautiful. Everything was strange. Lived in's home, a great structure built into the side of a cliff. From his room, he could see the ocean stretching to the horizon. Some mornings, he would stand at his window and wonder if it was all a dream. But it was not a dream. The children made sure of that. They came to him every day without fail. The 3 little ones he had saved on that dead moon now followed him everywhere. They had grown in 3 months, their scales darker, their bodies stronger, but their eyes were the same, big and bright and full of love. The smallest one, whose name was especially attached to him. She had learned to climb onto his shoulders and ride there while he walked through the halls. She would hold onto his hair with her tiny claws and make happy sounds. The other 2 were named, and Bella was bold and always looking for adventure. Bella was quiet and liked to sit beside while he learned the alien language from his lessons. Learning the language was hard. The sounds did not come naturally to a human mouth, but practiced every day, and slowly he improved. The children helped. They would correct his mistakes gently, giggling at his strange accent. Watched all of this. She did not say much, but often felt her eyes on him. He was not sure what she was thinking. Was she pleased, disappointed, testing him still? He could not tell. Then one day, she called him to her private chamber. It was evening. The purple sky outside was turning dark and the first stars were appearing. Sat on a chair by the window, looking out at the ocean. She did not turn when entered. Sit, she said. He sat in a chair across from her. The room was quiet except for the distant sound of waves. Do you know what today is? She asked. Thought he had been learning the alien calendar, but he did not remember any special dates. No, he admitted, I am sorry. Finally turned to look at him. Her face was calm, but something moved in her eyes. Today is the anniversary of my children's birth. 3 years ago, they came into this world. 3 years ago, my life changed forever. Nodded, he did not know what to say. 3 months ago, continued, I almost lost them. A ship malfunction, a crash on a dead moon. My heart stopped when I received the distress signal. I thought I would find only bodies. Her voice shook slightly. Had never seen her show weakness before. Instead, I found you. A human I had never met, from a species I barely knew, holding my children like they were his own, protecting them with his broken body, ready to die for them. She stood and walked toward him. Her movements were slow, deliberate. I have thought about this every day since. Why did you do it? You could have left them. You could have taken what you wanted from the crashed ship and flown away. No one would have known. No one would have blamed you. Looked up at her. He had asked himself the same question many times. I do not know why, he said honestly. When I saw them in that dark room, scared and hungry, something inside me moved. I could not walk away. It felt impossible. Studied his face. Then she did something she had never done before. She knelt down in front of him so their eyes were level. In my culture, she said, mothers are protectors. It is our greatest duty. We would die for our children without question. I thought this was something only we understood, something only we could feel. She reached out and took his hand. Her scales were smooth and warm against his skin. I was wrong. You feel it too. This need to protect. This fire that burns when the innocent are in danger. You have it in you. You have the heart of a mother. Felt tears forming in his eyes. He blinked them back. In the old days, said, when someone showed such heart, we did not just accept them into the clan. We honored them with a special title, a title that meant protector, guardian, keeper of young. She squeezed his hand. I want to give you this title. I want you to be more than just a member of my clan. I want you to be the guardian of my children, officially, permanently, in the eyes of all our people. His breath caught in his throat. He did not trust his voice. Will you accept? Asked. He could only nod. Words would not come. Smiled. It was the warmest smile he had ever seen on her face. Then tomorrow we will hold the ceremony. The whole clan will be there. My children will stand beside you as I place the mark of the guardian on your shoulder. Everyone will know what you are. She stood up and pulled him to his feet. But tonight, she said, there is a small celebration in the next room. The children wanted to surprise you for their birthday. They have been planning it for weeks. She opened a door that had not noticed. Behind it was a room full of light and color. Decorations hung from the ceiling. A table was covered with food and sweets, and 3 little aliens stood in the center, waiting. When they saw, they ran to him. They wrapped their arms around his legs and made their happy sounds, climbed up his body and settled on her favorite spot on his shoulders, pulled at his hand, wanting to show him something. Bella pressed against his side and would not let go. Watched from the doorway. Other members of the clan were there too, people who had once looked at with cold eyes. Now they smiled. Some even nodded with respect. The celebration lasted late into the night. Ate strange foods that tasted wonderful. He played games with the children that made no sense to him but made them laugh. He listened to songs in a language he barely understood but felt in his heart. At some point, came to stand beside him. Are you happy? She asked. Looked around the room, at the children who loved him, at the people who had accepted him, at the life he never expected to find. Yes, he said, I am happy. Nodded, good, because this is your home now. These are your people. You will never be alone again. The next day, the ceremony happened just as had said. Hundreds of aliens gathered to watch as she placed the mark of the Guardian on his shoulder. It was a symbol burned into his skin by a special light, a pattern that would stay with him forever. It hurt, but the pain meant nothing compared to what he felt inside. When the ceremony ended, the children stood beside him, held his hand, stood proudly on his other side. Bella pressed against his back. They were his now, not by blood but by something deeper, something that could not be broken. Stepped forward and addressed the crowd. This human saved my children. Today he becomes their guardian. But more than that, he becomes proof of something we had forgotten. That courage has no species, that love has no boundaries, that the heart of a protector can beat in any chest. She looked at with her burning eyes. Welcome home, Guardian. May you protect and be protected now and forever. The crowd cheered. The sound filled the air like thunder. Stood among aliens on a world far from Earth. He had no ship, no money, no possessions. He had only 3 children who called him the Warm One and a queen who had claimed him as her own. It was strange, it was wonderful, it was more than he had ever dreamed. He had crossed the stars looking for fortune. Instead, he had found family. And that, he knew now, was worth more than all the treasures in the universe.